Hello, my name is Richard with SmartGuard Shutters. I'm going to be showing you in this video how to install our motorized hurricane screens. I have the legs pulled apart right now, and the legs are reversible, so there are bushings on the bottom that match on the top. So on the legs, it doesn't matter if this is the left one or the right one. It just when you go to put these in, just make sure that the snap covers and where the screw channels are going to be facing towards the outside. So we're going to get everything set in place, but before we do so, my recommendation and the easiest way to install these is to take the motor tube out of the shell. You're going to have to drill some holes across the top for the mounting screws to go into. On this side, you're going to have a little pin that you'd pull out, and once that pin is out, the idler side will come out like that. Get this back in real quick. And then on the motor side, you'll have 3 screws. I'll take it out with a 5/16 driver. So we got 1, 2, and on the bottom 3. So we're going to remove these 3 screws, and it'll allow us to take this motor tube out of the shell, and it's going to make it a lot easier to do the installation. So I'm going to get some tools real quick and go ahead and get those out. All right, I have a 5/16 socket here. I'm going to be taking these screws out, so I'm going to go 1, screw off to the side, make sure you don't lose them, 2, and 3. When you take those out, the tube will fall away, or the motor will fall away from the tube, and then we'll go and take this thing all the way out. This is a long 6-inch extension. You may have to do another extension just to get your drill in there to get these out. So let's go ahead and pull this tube out and get the shell in place with the legs. Now that the tube is out of the shell, we're going to go ahead and pre-drill a couple of our mounting holes going across. So we're going to drill 2 1/4-inch holes. Try to get it as close as you can to the leg that's on the end cap here. So we're going to drill a 1/4-inch hole here, and then across the back of it every 12 inches. And this is going to secure the hood to the house. So before we do anything, we're going to get these holes pre-drilled. Like I said, 1/4-inch holes all the way across. All right, so get the hood into position where it's going to be installed. We have these sitting up on some ladders, and we're going to lift the hood and slide these posts of the end cap into the track here. So I'm going to go ahead and get it ready to lift up. And on openings this size, you definitely are going to want a hand to do this. So lifting it up in place. And the post should just drop in just like that. Make sure the other side is in place. There we go. And now we're going to lift it up into the opening and make sure it's centered. So now that the opening is centered, we're going to get these legs as straight as possible and all the way up against the house. And send 1 screw in the top hole of your track, and then 1 screw in the top of the other side. Next step is it's very critical that the top housing is completely level, so we're going to throw a 6-foot level on there and just verify that it is level straight all the way across. If it is not level, you may have to either cut the leg or lift one side up just to make it level. So we're going to verify that now, make sure it's level, and then go ahead and screw in the screws that go all the way across the top. Next step we're going to do is make sure that the track legs are level. I really suggest using either a laser or a really long level to do this. We have a 6-footer here. So now that our right track leg is level, we're going to send a screw down towards the bottom. And this will hold the track legs in place. So we'll go ahead and get one in here on the bottom. So we got one on the bottom, one on the top, and we're working on the screws all the way across. And we're going to do the same thing on the other side. One other thing I'll mention is it's a good practice to take your end cap to end cap dimensions. So whatever this measurement is, let's say it's 120 inches from here to here on end cap to end cap. Take the same dimension measurements from the very bottom outside edge to the very bottom outside edge of the other track, and make sure it is exactly the same dimensions that you get from end cap to end cap. If you're off on your measurements down here, then the screen may not roll up and down correctly. At that point, you're going to just need to double check your level, make sure your legs are level on both sides. Now that the track is ready for the next part is going to be the screen. So the screens are going to come wrapped in a saran wrap around it. Make sure that you do not use a razor knife when you're cutting this free. So what I just suggest doing is taking it and cutting the end here to get access to the tube, and then just slide it out of the bag. You don't want to run your razor knife down this and potentially end up slicing the screen. So do not use a razor knife to cut this open. So we're going to get the screen unrolled and over to the opening. So now that the screen is unwrapped, pay close attention to the orientation on how the screen is wrapped up. Typically the sticker is going to be on the left side of the bottom bar, and there is no sticker on the right side. So how this is rolled up now is how it's going to drop into the frame. So this would be considered the right side. And typically the end with the sticker on is going to be your left side. So when we carry it into the opening here, this side is going to go on the left, the other side is going to go on the right. So we're going to get it in there and set it on top of the ladder. So while keeping the screen rolled up, what we're going to do is drop the bar into the track. Make sure both ends get in before you end up letting it roll down any. On openings this wide, you may need somebody in the center to help you support it, but we're going to get the track the zipper into the track. There we go. He's in on his side. We're in on that side. And then we're just going to allow the screen to roll down. I'm going to hold it here, Ryan, real quick. If you want to jump down off the ladder, you're going to have to move your ladder back to get this to go down the rest of the way. All right. And just make sure it goes down evenly all the way. And touchdown. All right. Next step is to take out the PVC tube that slides across this little piece. It could be a little tricky to get out, but work it out. You might have to slide it out, or if it's in two pieces, carefully pull it out. So now that the screen is dropped in, we're going to go and get the motor tube and put the motor tube into the hood. So we're going to grab that, get that in place. Just remember that the motor side is going to go to the end cap that you took the screws out, and the idler side is the side that has the bracket with the pin that goes through it. So from here we got the tube in place. I always find it easier to start with the end that the pin is going to go through, and just make sure that your black piece is on there and lines up with the hole like that. And then this is going to go up into the cradle on the end cap. So Ryan, you can go ahead and lift that one up. So we're going to get the right side in first. This pin can be a little tricky too. All right, so he's got his pin in, and Ryan, move your ladder to the center to help him support it. We got the 3 screws ready on this side with our 5/16 driver, so our helper is going to move to the center to help support the weight of the tube. And now we're going to be putting in the screws on the ends back in. Just be careful not to over tighten these because you don't want them stripping out. And one thing to make sure that you're paying attention to is when you're putting these motors in, there's a hole for an override. Make sure that hole is facing down and towards the front of the motor if you're going to be using it. So that's the orientation of that. So now that we got the motor tube in, we're going to flip the screen back over the back of the reel tube. So let's go ahead and flip that screen over, guys. We're going to go behind the tube. Just like that, and we're going to have to work it all the way down. So the screen's going to go behind the tube. And while he's working that across, do we have the rubber mallet back here too? Okay. Next step we're going to do, now that the screen is over there, is going to find a groove that, make sure that the groove does not have a screw in the channel. So this one is clear of any screws. There is one of the four grooves that does have screws in it. We don't want to snap that in there, but we're going to get a rubber mallet and then tap this spline in all the way down, starting from one side working to the other. All right, this step we're going to plug in the power and get the programming. So we're going to grab the remote. This is just a single channel remote, so make sure you're on the channel that you want to program in if you have multiple remotes. And we're going to hit the up and down button. At the same time, hold it until the motor jogs. Now that it's jogged, we're going to test the up and down. So I'm going to hit the up button since the screen's all the way down and see which direction the motor's turning. In this case, it's going the opposite direction, so we want to reverse the motor direction. Press and hold the My button on the center until the motor jogs. And now we can hit the up button. And now it's going in the correct direction. So at this point, now that the motor is going in the correct direction, we're going to press the button on the back to save that configuration. Motor will jog again. And now that the screen is all the way down, we're going to hit the up button and let it run until it stops. If it gets close to the top and it doesn't stop, then just make sure you stop it. So this stopped automatically, and if I hit the up button, it's not moving up anymore. Now we're going to grab the provided tool here and pick one of these holes. I'm going to pick the front one, and if you notice, I can turn it towards the positive sign. So if I spin it in this direction, it's going to be adding to the limit. Now, as I spin it, nothing is happening. So I know that this is your down limit. So we're going to go to the back screw, do the same thing, make sure it's all the way in. And we're going to spin it towards the positive. At that point, the motor is moving, and we know we're in the correct limit. And we're going to run this all the way up. And we're going to set the upper limits here. So I'm going to continue and spin this until the bottom bar gets to about right here. So now that we have the upper limit set, we're going to go into the other hole, which is going to be your front hole in this case, and we're going to spin it towards the negative. And what this is going to do is reduce the stopping point on how low the shutter is going to go. So again, I'm going to hit the down button and let this start going down as I'm spinning towards the negative, and just be ready to hit the stop button. If the screen goes all the way down to the bottom of the floor, raise it up a couple of feet and then try going down. Ideally, we want this to stop automatically on its own before it gets to the bottom. Oop, and there we go. It stopped automatically. And now at this point, we can start spinning it now towards the positive, which is going to be adding limit. And we're going to keep on spinning it until it touches down on the ground. And go about right there. So now our limits are adjusted, our up limit's done, and our down limit's finished. We're going to go ahead and test it. So this is all the way down. If I hit the up button, and stop it, and I hit down, that's where it stops automatically. And the same thing if I roll it up. And without hitting any buttons on the remote, the screen should stop at the top. This means the up and down limits have been programmed successfully. Now at this point, if the screen is running up and down with no issues, we only have a couple of screws here on the sides just to hold it in. We're going to finish running in the rest of these screws. If your screen is snagging or hanging up as it's rolling up and down, you're going to want to double check and make sure that your legs are plumb and level. And you may have to take out some screws on the sides and make some adjustments until the screen rolls up and down smoothly. So now that that is done, we're going to go ahead and get all of these screws drilled out. Now that you have all the screws drilled out on the side, what I like to do is run it up and down one more time just to ensure that everything is nice and still running smooth. And then we're going to take these snap channels, and snap channels just cover up the screw holes. So before we put these in, I'm just going to clean out some of the concrete dust here on the bottom on both sides, and snap these channels in with just a little rubber mallet. So we're going to clean these out real quick, get all the concrete dust out, and then snap the channels in. All right, so our project has magically changed colors. We're actually on a different job site. Just want to show you how to finish up. If you're going to be installing an override, what you want to do is go over to the side that the motor is going to be on. Make sure that your override is pointing down. The override part is this right here. This is where your override crank is going to go in. And we're going to measure from the end cap to the center of the hole. And in this particular case, we're at 1 1/8 inches from the end cap to the center of the hole. And then we're going to measure from the back of the leg to the center of the hole, and we're at 3 3/8. So we're going to remember those two numbers. You can write it down. So we're at 3 3/8 and 1 1/8 inches. So next step we're going to do is get the hood, and we're going to slide the hood in right now. All right, with the helper, what you're going to want to do is go in at an angle, get the front lip of the cover in place, and then you're going to rotate it in. All right, now that it's rotated in, on the non-motor side, we're going to take and go ahead and send in the 2 screws with a 1/4 inch driver. Go ahead and send in the 2 screws right here. Okay, and then he's going to do the other one. And then we're going to go down to the other side and drill the hole for the override next. All right, now that we got the 2 hood screws in and we made a mark with our Sharpie, we are 1 1/8 inches in from the end of the end cap and 3 3/8 from the back of the leg. We're going to take a step bit, which is one of these guys, a little spiral step bit, and we're going to drill out this hole. You can also use a normal drill bit as well, but these step bits are a little bit easier. And we're going to go up to about 1/2 inch. So I'm going to go ahead and drill this out now and show you the next step. So now that we have the hole drilled out for your override, we're going to take the override and slide it in there, and going to have to work it back and forth a little bit until you find the right hole, and then just kind of wiggle it into place. There you go. Once you have 2 self-tapper screws in, your override's in place. That completes your install. The override crank you can use and also test it. So take your bell, put it over your override end, slide it in place. Your handle will bend like that. I don't know if I can do this with one hand, but if you turn it, the screen should move. So if you have any other questions on this, you can give us a call at 386-227-6295.